If you're looking to buy an apartment in New York City, then it's going to be a condo or a co-op. And it's really important that you understand the 8 key aspects of both the process of buying and the longer-term implications of owning either a condo or a co-op. Number 1, the application and approval process. One of the biggest differences in the sales application is that it is usually much more onerous for a co-op than a condo. A lot more financial information, a lot more personal information is required. But most importantly, you will need to pass a board interview in order to buy a co-op apartment, and you do not need to do that for a condo. Number 2, financing. If you're financing the apartment, then you're going to need to put a cash down payment. In a condo, that can be as little as 10%, but in a co-op, it's very, very hard to put down any less than 20%, and often you might need more. But also, the other thing to know is when you're buying a condominium, you're buying real property, and so you are going to have to pay mortgage recording tax, which is either 1.8% if you're mortgaging $500,000 or less, or 1.925% if it's more than that. With a co-op, it's not real property, and you don't have to pay that closing cost, which is a huge difference. Number 3, estimated time to close. From getting into contract to closing is going to take a certain amount of time. With a condominium, if you're paying cash, you could do it in 30 days. Chances are it's more likely to be 60 days if you're financing. However, with a co-op, you have to allow really for 90 days, even 4 months, because there's a lot more checks and balances in that process. And if you miss the board review 1 month, you have to skip completely to the following month. And so allowing more time in that time period between contract and closing is really key with a co-op. Number 4, renovations. If you want to renovate your apartment, you can do that whether it's a condo or a co-op. You submit an application, you use an insured contractor, and then at that point you may get some pushback if you're in a co-op building, because with older buildings, sometimes the plumbing and electrics won't support what you want to do, and at the end of the day you're going to have to explain and negotiate. Number 5, your monthly charges. These are called common charges in a condominium and maintenance in a co-op. In a condominium, the common charges are based on your square footage. In a co-op, they're based on how many shares you have in that building. Number 5, taxes. In a condo, you pay your taxes directly to the city for your particular apartment. But in a co-op, the taxes are actually part of your maintenance because the entire building pays the property taxes, and your portion of that is in the maintenance, usually between 40 to 50%. Number 7, subletting. Now this is really important. If you intend to sublet that apartment pretty much from when you actually buy it, you really can't do that in a co-op. In a condo you can. The moment you close, you can choose to let it. You put in a process for the application, you get it approved, and you basically pay a small fee for that privilege. In a co-op, you're really only allowed to sublet after a few years of ownership, and usually only 2 years out of 5 can you then sublet, and then it has to go back to being you or a very close relative living in that apartment. So think very carefully about that. And finally, number 8, selling. You're selling a condo. Basically, it's up to you when you want to sell it and who you sell it to. If you're selling a co-op, you will always be subject to the board approval of that buyer. Whatever happens, they have to approve it. So as you can see, there's a lot to think about. What's really important is this can vary from building to building, and therefore I'm going to say that you should work with someone, an experienced real estate professional who knows and understands this process for a condo and a co-op and can help you find that property. And of course, that would be me, Katrina Carney of Brown Harris Stevens. Let's connect.